So seeing all of this that you've gone through, dealing with the abuse firsthand, seeing the abuse secondhand from your mother, transitioning to your grandmother, because I see a lot of times in household changes that
Yes,
can
sir.
really have an effect on a child.
Yes, sir.
Seeing what your stepfather have done, witnessing that, it's evident that that can breed, of course, a spirit of anger,
Absolutely.
and so it's evident it is that's having that done to you, having life happen to you in that kind of way, can really nurture,
Correct.
that in your life. So seeing that happen from the time that you were little up into high school, did you really kind of wrestle with that a lot?
Yeah, man. By then, when I started what we would call dating, I found myself being very and it's like it's like this. It's like the child that's abused is a loving child because I've always felt my mother's love, so I know how to express love. But then when violence is on top of that, instead of me letting the love out, I would let out the violence. So I found myself having the same abusive traits when I started dating. If me and a girl wasn't working out, then I would violently send her threats. Like, if you leave me, I would hurt you, I would do you this and I would do you that. And I wasn't playing. Like, my oldest daughter's mother, for an example, young, man, I thought just like, man, this is what it is. This is who I'm gonna be with the rest of my life. And her mother was not the best of mothers. I would just listen to her. Sometimes we would sit in a room and she would tell me the things that her mother was encouraging her to do and influence her to do as a teenager. And to me, man, that was like, I understand that that's your mama, but that's very sick for your mama to tell you to, if you don't have money, work your money maker. Now I'm like in between the lines because she have this knowledge that her mama told her to work her money making and we're in a relationship. So mentally, I would back up and just kind of zone out and just think like, what if we ever have a time that we don't have no money? What are you going to do? Like in my mind, it's like, okay, if I ever come to the point where I can't give you $25 to get your nails and your toes done, would you sleep with the guys around the corner just to make this money?
Right.
And man, sometimes she would play with me like that, like, oh, I'm gonna go do this and I'm gonna go twerk what I got to twerk or whatever. And one day, man, this thing started triggering, and I found myself grabbing her around her clothes and hemming her up against the wall like I saw my mama. So I was like, oh man, I'm just playing with you, whatever. And then it happened again, and then again, and then again, and this was a repeated cycle until I found myself telling her that if you ever leave me, I'll kill you. It was like, I feel like you love me, right? To my understanding, you love me. And we go extreme measures to see one another. Like the times that your mom don't want me over, the times that my parents don't want you over, we would sneak out the house. So when we go to school, we see one another. And for somebody to tear that apart, again, I've already been torn apart several times as a child growing up. So I feel like people starting to just take my soul and my heart from me. And I don't want to feel this no more. I didn't felt that from a child all the way up to 17, 18 years old. I don't want to feel this no more. Like, so now to me is if anybody else hurt me, I'm going to hurt them. Like, I don't want to just be this loving guy. Like, if you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you now. And that happened from, from 17, technically 16, all the way up to about, man, maybe 30 years old. Maybe 30 years old.
16 to 30 years old.
16 to 30.
Man. So, are you are you aware that that's a spirit of anger that's really, that this is something that's stemming from my childhood? Are you aware of that at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what do you do to kind of deal with it?
Now for me, I found out what I was doing was very vicious and very violent. And I'm really gonna touch on how I deal with anger now from the man of God, Daryl McCoy. You know, he looked at me and he told me, man, you got to get rid of that. Now, I'm coming to church, you know, I'm thinking I done been free from, man, anger, and then just, and I really didn't mention it, but lust had a lot to do with my anger. Like, and I'm thinking, man, like, you know, I got this thing in a bubble, but you don't know what's inside of you because you really come to a point where you're suppressing it. Mm-hmm. And something happened where I started becoming very controlling in my marriage. And it's not like a real husbandly love control or godly control. It's like I'm the Lord in my house. To the point where, man, my wife is starting to become afraid. These loving babies that I have, they're starting to become afraid. And everything is in terror because of me. And then I'm doing it so much until I think what I'm doing is right. Until when somebody else see what you're doing wrong and they tell you what you're doing is wrong, to my wrong is my right. Mm. So, you know, I'm full of pride, man. You can't tell me how to run my house and so forth and so on. And before you know it, the same thing happened to me as a child happened to my children. I done something that's so detrimental to my family, split away from me. So now I have to face this thing head on without the assistance of the prayer of your wife or your babies loving you. I got to face this man to spirit head on. Head on. And I just remember man of God always ministering us, telling us that honesty will bring your deliverance. Yeah. So you're dealing with this anger, man, and I'm in court with this woman that I said, you know, I took vows and told God that I would honor her and I would protect her. I would be this covering to her. I would support her, provide. And I'm on one side of the courthouse and she's on the other. And my whole life, once again, is spiraling out of control. I'm in court, man, and this judge commissions me to be separated from her. Now this anger that went, and we talking about Lloyd who goes to Trumpet and Zion. We're talking about Lloyd who went from being, you know, this kid that was a band member to one of the servers in a ministry. Somebody raised their hand up and crying out to God, and you would always see me weeping and crying. Has now life turned again. And this thing rallied around in my mind in a courthouse where when my mom went me to court, instantaneously I'm thinking about how can I hurt all of her family? Because now I feel like they're taking something away from me, but not acknowledging the fact that I'm the reason why it's taken away.